All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm so excited. I have so much to share with you. We're going to try and pack it all into this value-packed hour. I'm so excited to have you and share my heart, my wisdom with you, and my passion. And so I am just, honored for your time and for you taking time out of your busy Thursday to join me in this. And I hope that you get a ton of value. So our main topic is how to ditch the apps and date with ease. We're going to get into a lot of wonderful things, especially how to become irresistibly magnetic to your dream love, and be a chooser, not a chaser. So we're going to cover, again, two main things today on ditching the apps and how to approach with confidence and so much more. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm really excited. Also, if you stay to the end, I've got a very juicy, exclusive freebie just for you guys. So hang in there. It's going to be worth it and fantastic. So we're going to cover a couple of things. Again, for those of you who don't know me, most of you do. I'm Kim Ocean, the love doctor. I have been in the coaching industry for 10 years, 3 years in the life coaching industry, and 1 year as the love doctor. So things kind of started to become more clear as I started coaching, and I found my purpose in helping people in their love lives. It felt so much more satisfying and exciting to me, and I was really, really excited to do it. I ultimately realized calling and a passion to help men just became louder and louder and louder over time. And part of that reason is I grew up with brothers. My best friends were guys growing up. And I've just always felt like such a love and compassion for men and for their hearts, and just how, they're not given enough credit, enough space for healing and for empowering. And so it's just become louder and louder to me in my calling. And I've just been sick of toxic femininity pushing men down and suppressing them. And I've just seen that happen with my guy friends over and over and over, and my clients as well. And so I'm here to, be that empowering healer voice, intuitive coach, to bring out the best and get men in their hearts and free and listening to their intuition and living empowered lives, because the world freaking needs you, especially now. And I truly believe that one awake is more powerful than 1,000 asleep. And so that's part of my passion, my purpose, and my mission is to help men wake up to their power and fully embody their divine masculine and their leadership, because we need it. And so often they are bogged down by fears and pressures. And it's really a tragedy when we honestly need them in their light and in their power. So it's what I do. And yes, if you don't know, I'm a DJ, and I manifested the love of my life and my dream life in the last few years. And it hasn't been easy, and there's been a long road to get here. I have a long love journey story. I had my first boyfriend at age 12. Prior to that, I had a challenging childhood, and I had a critical parent and repeated sexual trauma, which led to low self-worth and low self-confidence. I did 10 years of therapy, sometimes twice a week. I read all the psychology books I could get my hands on. I was just obsessed with bettering myself and trying to feel better. And so I just became this, student of psychology apart from my career, and just really wanted to learn. And I, became the person that my friends would go to for advice and love advice and all of the things. So it just kind of evolved over time. Ultimately, I ended up in an 8-year relationship. So I had a lot of serial monogamy. So I had a lot of serious relationships kind of back to back with, the singlehood and the dating apps in between. And, kind of experienced the full gamut. Like I said, I had my first relationship at age 12, which only lasted 2 weeks, but still. Then I like got my heart broken at 13, and then had a like couple of serious relationships, and then ended up in a very serious relationship that lasted 8 years, which ended in 2018. And through that, there was so much, oh my gosh, like healing. Like we each, one of my mentors called us manifesting partners. Like we manifested each other for our own healing, meaning like I triggered his mother wounds and he triggered my father wounds. And it was just a very intense triggering relationship, but ultimately for the best, because it led to both of our spiritual awakenings and our own healing. So from that, it launched me into this, spiritual awakening path and journey. And so I am, eternally grateful for that, although it was incredibly painful. Like I said, we had an 8-year relationship, a house, a dog, a whole life that we built together. And at that time, I also lost a best friend. And it was just like this really big existential crisis I was going through. And I just wanted to feel better. All the while, too, I like coped with using alcohol and weed. And not that there's anything intrinsically, bad with those or wrong. It was just, for me, it was definitely an escape and numbing. I also was like overworking, a high achiever. I worked at Stanford. I worked at children's hospitals as well. I got my master's degree, and I just kept like working, and like overworking and numbing with relationships, with substances, and with working. And so ultimately that led me to realizing like I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. Like I was making a great salary. I was working at Stanford. I was doing all the things. And I was like, why am I not happy? Why does it feel like I'm not satisfied with this? I'm not satisfied in my life. I've gotten all the things that I said that I wanted, and yet I still feel so unfulfilled. Like, what's wrong? What's missing? And I asked my therapist, who was like a spiritual guru lady, Reiki master and all the things. And I was like, why does it feel like there's a cap on my joy? Like I'm having all these experiences that should be so fantastic, and I should feel so joyful, so happy, so grateful. And like, I just feel like I can't get there. There's like this numbing on top of everything. And she was like, Kim, it's because you have all of these basically like sandbags weighing you down underneath everything. And it's like all this trauma and this baggage that you haven't been able to let go of. And therefore it's literally weighing down your vibration, your emotional capacity for joy and those higher level emotions. I was like, shit. So that really stuck with me and helped me really do a deep dive into healing. And so ultimately, like I got Reiki certified, I got Diksha certified, which is another Japanese energy healing modality. And I started, taking all of these classes and courses and working with mentors and healers and, psychedelic assisted therapy and dance medicine. And ultimately, like little by little, I got freer and freer over time. And that ultimately led me to the passion of helping other people along their journeys as well. There's this quote that I hold dearly and live by. It's like, you get to the other side of the river and you turn around and see who's just behind you that you can help. And so that really has been a guiding force in my life. So ultimately, yeah, that's all the things that have led me here. And I am so grateful to be the me that I am before you. And so first things first, let's get right into it for sake of time. I want you to grab a pen and paper. If you don't have one, I know a couple of you are in cars. So maybe use a note on your phone if you have to. But we're going to do a little bit of breathing, and then we're going to check in with a little intention. So get yourself situated, give you another 10 seconds or so, find your stuff. And I want you, when you're ready, to go ahead and close down your eyes. Just start to tune in, take some long, slow, deep breaths. Just feel into your heart space. How are you doing, really? Underneath the mind, underneath the surface. What's going on in there? Now I invite you to breathe your air out. We're going to take 2 inhales together. It's going to look like this. And then we're going to hold. So I'm going to count you. So go ahead and breathe your air out first. Now ready? Double inhale. Hold. Maybe even squeeze your abs a little bit. Hold, hold, hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Breathe all the way out. Again, double inhale. Breathe in slow. More air at the top. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Again, 2 more like that. Breathe in. More air at the top. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 1 more, last one. More air, breathe in and hold. Big sigh, let it go. Now keep your eyes closed. I want you to tune in to how you're feeling. And I want you to ask yourself, why are you here? Why did you come to this call? Why did you sign up for this masterclass? And I want you to write that down. Another 10 seconds to feel into that and write whatever comes to mind. So, all right, 5 more seconds. All right, so we're going to get into it. Thank you for doing that. Helps to know our intentions. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about why the numbers game doesn't work. And when I talk about numbers game, I mean like going on repeated dates or swiping away on the apps. Like a lot of men play it like it's a numbers game. Like statistically, if I go out with this many people, like one of them is bound to be my soulmate or bound to be my person. And the reason that doesn't work, especially with, the dating apps, is because that's not, in alignment with what you truly want. It's just a matter of like volume. And so it's basically like letting the app, dictate what you're looking for. And that ultimately is not helpful. You end up wasting your time, your money. Like I spent plenty of times on the apps. I've, actually that 8-year relationship that I mentioned, I met him through Tinder. I've been on Bumble, I've been on Hinge, and a couple years ago I was on Bumble before I met Justin. And I noticed like increasingly, like the apps all used to be free. And then like increasingly as the years have gone on, like 10 years now, it's like they're like designed to like suck your money. It's like you have to pay to find out who likes you, or like to get a super like, or all these like little gimmicky things that like you're like, oh man, like I have to pull out my wallet just to make this freaking thing work. And then ultimately you're still like stuck in the same trap. So it's really important to recognize like that cycle and how, ultimately it's not serving, you. It's not that there's anything intrinsically wrong with the apps. It can be a tool, but when you're solely relying on them and not, using them in a like super conscious way, then that's when it becomes detrimental and like creates this negative cycle. So a lot of people report when they're using them that they just, ultimately end up frustrated and stuck in the same cycles and patterns. And so I've found that with my clients that I, teach them how to basically break free of the apps, or if you're going to use it in a conscious way, use it as a tool. So additionally, it's really important to know that when you're stuck in this endless cycle, that single people were found to report higher levels of depression, anxiety, mood disorders, adjustment problems, psychological distress, and alcohol-related problems. And so it just ends up feeling frustrated and depressed and stuck in these same types of cycles. Additionally, a lot of my guys who find me have been, trying these like short-term flings, and it's, very common and super normal. And I've been there myself because often like it's seeking physical needs as well as emotional comfort. However, ultimately, the consequences often outweigh the benefits, where like, for example, a sexual encounter will flood your system with all the happy chemicals, with dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, right? That bonding hormone. And so whether you like it or not, your system is wiring you to be attached to this person, to like this person. And no matter what, at some point, if it is ultimately like meant to be a fling, or you kind of designed it that way, this like friends with benefits or the short term, or like a sexual encounter, one or both of you are bound to have unmet expectations or unmet emotional needs that ultimately leave you in a worse state than you entered the thing in to begin with. So it's like you do it to fix an emotional wound and then end up with more emotional wounds, unfortunately. So also the unmet expectations can leave you in like this emotional aftermath of having to deal with that, either the ghosting or the unmet expectations and like the communication that happens in the aftermath of that. And as the excitement of the fling wears off, often men feel like extra lonely, extra isolation, because those casual flings don't provide the same level of companionship and support as committed partnerships. So like in this modern society, it's so normal to have these like casual flings, but ultimately like humans are designed for companionship, for like long-term support and relationship. And so because it's so normalized, like we don't realize what we're missing pretty much. And so often there's like this lack that's created in these like emotional wounds. It's like, a Band-Aid on a bullet wound kind of thing that keeps you in the cycle of lacking emotional fulfillment and depth when you are like dependent on these flings. Furthermore, unfortunately, it can have a negative impact on your future relationships because there's this like distrust that happens in these short-term flings, because often it's like doesn't have the same level of commitment as a partnership. And so like I'm not saying that you have to be monogamous, like that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. Like I'm open to the types of dynamics, but when you don't have that long-term support, there's not this trust that's established, and therefore again like that unmet communication or unmet expectations, and there's like a lack of emotional communication that happens. And so it can really be damaging to your trust and your long-term relationships, and it can create like belief systems that subconsciously sabotage you, as well as commitment issues, because it's like a pattern that you've established. Okay, that's enough about that. You get it. Okay, so we've pretty much talked about this, that for like, especially with the apps these days, they're just designed to keep you swiping. They're like designed like a video game. They're designed to be addictive. They're designed to keep you swiping on the app and improve your engagement with the app. So that it's like kind of Candy Crush, you know, it's like you get to this level and then it's like, oh, you have to pay to get to the next level, or, you know, it's impossible to reach this this place. And so they like design it to I love this picture. Design it to suck your money and your wallet dry, and to see, you know, that like dopamine of like, oh, who likes me? It's like we're so wired for that crush and that fix. So ultimately, like if you're wasting your precious time and money on dating apps or going on dates with women who have a bunch of other options, I was researching this, like why does it seem like women have so many more options on the dating apps than men? Because it's basically like some of them have algorithms that like allow the women to have more options. Also, like I was looking it up, and like women tend to be more selective. So there's like a gender imbalance in the numbers on the apps. Men are also expected to take the initiative in starting conversations and planning dates. And so like women are just kind of waiting for these messages. So their like inbox has a bunch of messages where guys are like, you know, having to start these conversations. It feels more like slim pickings on their end. Okay, gotten into that. So now the fun part. I'm going to show you some things that are going to change your life and change your game. So I've got a couple client wins, just my guys that have come through my program and have found love and freedom on the other side. And I just wanted to share that with you really quick. Really, really incredible guys. I'm honored to work with them. Now I'm going to show you the fun part, the cold approach NBD method. So do anyone know what a cold approach is? You can drop it in the chat, by the way. I forgot to have you guys introduce yourself in the chat. My bad. Whoop, there we go. Yes. Yes, thank you, Jason. 10 people liked your profile. You must pay to find out who. Okay, who can guess what a cold approach is? Drop it in the chat. I'll throw candy at you. No guesses? Okay, well, yes. Okay, there you go. There we are. Okay, I'm going straight up to a woman, starting a conversation exactly out of thin air. Approaching someone who doesn't know your name. Awesome. Exactly. Going to someone at the bar. Exactly. So cold approach. You guys all know cold approach. Everybody gets gold stars and candy. Thank you. So my NBD method, why it works is because I teach you how to approach confidently, so that, you know, you're not having to utilize the dating apps, you know, like seamlessly every time how to approach someone that you find attractive, whether it's, you know, in like a friend capacity. I don't want to get on this bunny trail for too long, but there's a book called The Celestine Prophecy, and it talks about kind of like soul contracts. So when you see someone in real life that you're drawn to for whatever reason, maybe it's like a synchronicity, like they look like someone you know, or they just look really cool, or you're wearing like the same pants, or, you know, there's something about them that just is drawing you to them, that there's something there, and there's a reason that you're supposed to talk to them. So regardless if it's like a romantic interest, like, oh, they're, you know, so gorgeous, I want to go over and say hi, or if there's some reason that you're supposed to talk to them, this method is going to help you to overcome self-doubt and be able to approach. We'll get into a little bit more about, you know, the reasons that it might be difficult to approach. But anyway, I've come up with the NBD method. So NBD, no big deal. So you guys can remember that. It's no big deal to approach in real life. So grab your notebooks, your pens, and name your intention. Okay. Name your intention. So this is really important. This is before you go over there. So you're going to take a breath and you're going to look internally. Good. Yes. Thank you, Jason. Take a real breath. Good. Take a breath. And you're going to ask yourself, what is my intention with going over to this person? And because energetically, especially if you're, a man after a woman, there's so much energetics that goes into it. Women are super, super sensitive to energy. And so if you go over there with this energy of, I want to get something, I want to ask her on a date, I want to get her number, then she can feel that. There's like a little bit of like neediness or lack energy to it. But instead, if you change your intention and like truly like believe it and feel it internally of like, I just want to go and like see what's going on. I just want to meet this person. Like, I just feel drawn to meet this person. Then energetically, you're going to be much more calm. You're going to be like more confident when you go over there. So it's important to like name your intention. And then a good example of an intention that like is a surefire is like, I'm going to just go over and exercise my confidence. Like, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to let go of any expectations to the outcome. It's also great to start practicing this with people who aren't like a female romantic interest, for example. So like you can practice this method where the stakes are a tiny bit lower, is what I highly recommend. So name your intention to yourself. Like my intention is I'm going to, go over there and get to know this person, or I'm going to go over there and practice, exercising my confidence. That makes sense? Okay. Then B, of course, as you can see here, is be yourself. And with this, it's like, it's simple, but profound. Your person, when you meet your person, is going to love you for who you are. And I need you to anchor that in. It's so important. So it's important to be yourself from the get-go. Like if there's any, if you're like stretching the truth or exaggerating or trying to be someone that you're not, they're going to feel that or ultimately find out later on, and it's going to bite you in the ass. So it's important to be yourself from the get-go. I also like to teach to, almost pretend that you're already their friend. Like if they were your friend already and you were just going up to say hi, like the pressure is off, right? Like if you already knew this person or it was a friend of a friend and you're like, oh, hey, like, I've been meaning to say hi to you, that kind of energy, like so much less pressure than like, oh my gosh, they're so attractive, I need to like go over and maybe ask them on a date. Like way less pressure if you can just assume that you're like on a friend level with them already, like walking over and saying hi and just starting there. It's so much less about what you say than your energy in going over there. But speaking of what you say, D is direct communication. So being direct from the get-go. A lot of guys get friend zoned or get stuck in this trap because they're not direct. And so they will, say something like, hey, you want to hang out sometime? And it's like, as attractive as that might be to say, or like appealing as that might be to say, because it's less pressure, it actually to a female doesn't show the leadership and the confidence that they need to be attracted to you. So like a divine masculine quality is like leadership and confidence. And so when you offer something specific in terms of like, let's say you are trying to ask them out, the best thing you can do is to have stuff going on in your life, meaning like you already have plans for the weekend or whatever day, whatever day it is, like you're doing stuff that's fun to you. And then you can just invite them out to do that. So you give a direct, specific invite to something. And that is the best thing you can do in terms of like asking someone out initially. But being direct and like, if you do get friend zone, we'll get into that. That's a whole other topic. But that's the way to avoid being friend zoned, I will say, is being direct. And we can get into that much more specifically about, what does that mean? And like, because there's so many nuances of that. But for the sake of this cold approach, I feel like that's sufficient because we have so much more to cover. Any questions here? Feel free and drop them in the chat real quick. Ah, cool. Really quick. And that could be, I'm having a really good day. I'm excited to be around someone. Yes. For name your intention. I love that. Yeah, totally. Like sharing that, those positive vibes. Oh yeah. Okay. So a couple of quick quotes for you. The universe will choose for you if you don't learn to create consciously and choose for yourself. That's a quote by me. So it's really important to recognize that. Okay. The universe is going to choose for you. This is something I say to my clients all the time. The universe has never been you before. So in all of my spiritual studies, what I've come to conclude is that God and the universe has fractalized itself into infinite beings and places, and is like the animator of all life. So if we are a part of that source consciousness, that means the universe has never been you before, has never been you, Cam, has never been you in this body. And therefore, it doesn't exactly know what you want. Isn't that crazy? It's never been you before. Like with your life experiences, everything that's going on in you internally. And we have thousands and thousands. It's like they say like between 70 and 90,000 thoughts a day. So how is the universe supposed to grab onto what you want from all of that jargon going on in there? So we have to be specific. So we have to learn how to become conscious creators, because if we don't, we're just creating on default, on autopilot. So we're going to get into that, but it's something that I'm super passionate about. My dad always said to me growing up, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. So it's like when you're on that default pattern, then it's going to create more and more of the same. Okay, so we're going to get into how to ditch the dating apps. Okay, so we were kind of just talking about this, or I was leading into this. So belief systems are really, really important to recognize when it comes to dating and the dating apps. So you see what happens after repeated rejection. So when when a guy specifically gets repeated rejection, whether it's after the first date or a couple weeks or a couple months in, like my personal coach is like, I'm in this, never ending cycle of like getting a couple months in and then it just completely falls apart. What happens in our psyche is it develops fears of it happening again. So it literally develops a PTSD response on a sliding scale of severity. Our mind and ego wants to protect us, so it's going to create a belief. And a belief, according to Abraham Hicks, is a thought that you repeatedly think. So again, there's all these thoughts in the background, but those thoughts that keep going on repeat, like one of my poor best friends just got like severely cheated on. Like he's been cheating their entire relationship. She just found out this last week. And so her mind is like rehearsing all like what went wrong and like where did I go wrong, like what the timeline of things. And her brain is just like nonstop. She can is really, really struggling to turn that part off. And that's the brain on PTSD. That's the brain when we've had trauma, is trying to protect you. So it rehearses the scene, it rehearses those thoughts. And the problem with that is that creates a belief, and then that belief takes root and out pictures in our reality. So we're going to talk about belief systems a little bit more. So there's this Groundhog Day effect, where it's the same type of pattern or rejection on repeat. You're stuck in endless first dates that go nowhere. You're repeatedly friend zoned. You're dating the same type of person over and over with a different face. Same type of trauma keeps happening. The relationships will last 1 to 2 months and eventually crumble. Like whatever it is, that pattern that is on repeat for you, this is not because the universe is out to get you. This is because you are a creator already and you just don't really fully know it. And there's these beliefs that are happening in the background. So a lot of spiritual teachers kind of go back and forth with this. Do thoughts create emotions, or do emotions create thoughts? And I think it's a cycle. I think thoughts can influence emotions, and I think emotions can influence thoughts. But again, thoughts that you repeatedly think become beliefs, and our beliefs influence our behavior, which influence our reality. So it's pretty like easy to see how your thoughts ultimately become your reality. Your thoughts become things, is one of the most empowering things to learn in life, is that you have the power to create and shift your reality. So yeah, basically it's like the iceberg analogy. We have all these subconscious beliefs, right? It's like we know our conscious mind is 10% and our subconscious mind is 90%. So our thoughts that we are aware of is 10%, but then there's like computer programs that are 90% going on in the background. And most of those were developed before the age of 7. And because of like, according to psychology and neuroscience, you're in the alpha theta brainwave state from 0 to 7. So that's like after 7, kids tend to become a little bit more like combative or curious or like argumentative sometimes. And before that, it's like we're almost in this agreement state. So because who's ever teaching us, we like agree with, that creates a program in our like super conscious computer. Is that making sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. So all that to say, we don't have a lot of influence on them, but our experiences and then what we are explicitly taught becomes our belief system. So it's not that anyone's to blame, it's just that we have to become aware that these were established really early, which means that they have been on repeat in the background for a very long time. Okie dokie. Okay, the way out is to get under the hood of the car that we're driving and figure out what those belief systems are. As you probably know, this is one of the processes that I help my clients through, especially in the beginning of my program. And it's so fundamental to their success in love and ultimately in life, is being able to get under the hood and identify and dig out those belief systems and learn how to reprogram. So it's extremely important to learn how to do this. Okay, but I want to invite you here to take some time and describe your future self. So this is who you want to be. So this is creating, again, your future from this place. And as I'm doing this, I'm so sorry. I want to back up here. And I want you to, yeah, I'm just getting intuitively. Take a second before we get into the creator mode. I want you to see, as I've been talking, if any patterns or belief systems, any like patterns, especially in love and dating, have come up. So before we get to the really fun part, I want to just dig in here for a second and give you guys just a minute to explore that and see if any have come up. And it might be like a memory, pattern that you've noticed. repeated micro trauma, a trauma that keeps happening, type of person you keep encountering or manifesting. Let's take a minute, sit with that and see what comes up. Okay. All right, so moving on. Now we're going to take another minute to a couple minutes. And I want you to describe your future self. So this is the you that is confident, that is living his dreams. This is the who you want to be. Okay, so take a couple of minutes and feel into this and then write it out. I want you to describe how he speaks, how he acts around women, how it feels to be him, his qualities and values. Take a deep breath and feel into this. Another 30 seconds. Feel into those qualities. And write them down. The you that you're calling in, the you that you're becoming. So, awesome, guys. Will you just type I want you to type 1 or 2 qualities. No, I take that back. Type 3 qualities in the chat, please, of what you are calling in your future self. Would love to know. Oh my gosh, you guys, a miracle. I'm right on time. Yes, Cam, charismatic and trustworthy. Hell yeah. Awesome. I'll let you guys keep dropping those in the chat. I'd love to know who you're becoming. The you that you are calling in. Yes, Jason. A man who invests in her interests. A man who is so on point with planning fun moments in life. A man who is chill and relaxed in the space he owns. Awesome. Hell yeah. Okay, you guys, I told you. I told you I had something very juicy and excited for you guys who showed up live to this call. So I'm so excited to drop this to you. Now, time with me is a sacred commodity. So I wanted to offer you guys each a success call. So I know some of you are already signed up for my program, which is launching next week. I'm so excited. High Achievers Heart is going live. And so we've been, testing this with clients, going through, and it's been a massive success. So I'm excited to have it as a mastermind with accountability and support and just full of value. It's going to be amazing. And so I'm offering a dating success call. So this is for you guys to get access to me one-on-one, to develop a plan for you and to get really specific on what's been holding you back and a plan of how to be completely successful in your love life. And so I'm really excited to offer this to you. So a one-on-one with me is typically over $300. So I'm excited to offer this to you guys free for those who have come on this call. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat and go ahead and snag that. And those of you who are watching the replay, the link will be somewhere in the description below. But I look forward to chatting with you. And I'm so excited to have you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Let me know any takeaways. I know we covered a lot in this hour. So I would love, I'm going to take this off record. I'd love to hear some takeaways that you guys have. All right. Love y'all.